Kimberly Jentzen, and I'm excited to bring to you today Emily Gateley. She's a wonderful actress. She's been working with me for quite a long time in my classes, and she's just starting to be a rising star. I'm so excited that she's here today because I want to track her career a bit, and I want you guys to be part of that so that you all get an opportunity to just feel what it feels like when you begin your career and how you go along and the different wonderful breakthroughs that an actor has from working as an artist in this very intense and fast-paced career. Okay, here we go. Here's Emily. Yay! So Emily, tell us a little bit about how you started working with me, a little bit about the beginning and just your life in general, about what it's like to be a young actor. You came from Seattle. Is that right?
I did, yes. Washington State, Seattle, Washington. And I loved it there. And I'm very grateful that I got to grow up there. I had the chance to start acting when I was 16 with representation, but the industry up there is nothing compared to LA. So I was very eager to move here. I graduated high school and I moved down to LA 2 weeks later. Thankfully, I have an incredibly supportive family, and I wouldn't be where I am without them as well. So I'm incredibly grateful. But I'm very fortunate as well. I came down here already having my manager with Paul Kaplan Bennett. He's incredible. He's truly incredible. And he is the one that got me in contact with you, Kimberly. And it was like a month after I moved here. And I remember I came in for my interview with you to join the class. And I remember the moment I realized that I needed to train with you, because I showed you a clip that I had, like some real footage that I had. And you were like, okay, it's good. Now can I tear it apart? And I was like, of course. And the notes that you gave me.
Tear it apart. I hope I never tear things apart. But go on.
No, you did it in the best way possible, because you told me things that I could immediately see it. I could see what you were telling me. And I knew from that moment that you were going to make me into a better actor, and you were going to make me into an artist. And I felt the connection there, and I knew that was exactly where I needed to be.
Tell me about your ups and downs and the struggles, because I know that it isn't easy being a young woman coming into this work.
It is absolutely a challenge. I feel like one of the big hurdles for me that I had to learn very quickly was handling that rejection, because it is very difficult to be told no and to have to take that. And you find something like a role that you really want, or you think you nail an audition and then you don't get the part, and it can be devastating. And I feel like I had to learn very quickly to handle that devastation and know that that's not my last opportunity. I have a very deeply rooted belief that everything happens when it's meant to happen, how it's supposed to happen, so on and so forth. So that's something that really gets me through. It's a very intense time of learning who I am and figuring out my place in the world. And I feel like this year especially, I have grown so much as an actor, which I'm very fortunate to have had the opportunity to do so, but also as a person. I recently came off of a show that I did, and I'm very, very excited for it. Can't say too much about it, but hopefully soon. But coming back from that, it was devastating, because I was finally in that position where I felt truly validated as an artist. And I felt that pure sense of belonging and knowing I was where I was meant to be, and I was getting to do the work, and it was exhilarating and exhausting. And I was the happiest I've ever been. I felt like my most genuine self. So coming back to this new reality after that, where it happened, but I'm kind of back in my old world. It was this whole new normal that I had to navigate. But again, it was an opportunity for me to grow up a lot as a person, and I'm grateful for it. I really am. And I'm doing a lot better now than I was that first week I came back. That's for sure.
And you shot this during the pandemic.
I did, yes. It was crazy too with the pandemic. I felt like I was starting to really get the ball rolling with my career, and then COVID hit. I think, though, that I am one of the fortunate ones because it did give me the opportunity to really hunker down and focus on acting. And I am also so fortunate because I was able to work a lot, even with COVID. I definitely did some remote work, but I also got to do a lot of like short films, and I really did get a lot of opportunities that definitely furthered my career. And then shooting this project, it was, I mean, it was intense. We were getting tested 3 times a week. Everyone, I think, was over 300 people, and there was not one single case of COVID. So it was awesome. It can happen. You just have to be careful about it.
Absolutely. We're almost out of COVID, I think, too, which is so exciting, and back to in person. And I'll still be continuing to coach via Zoom. What do you think, what are some of the positive things you did to use this time in your favor?
I'll admit, like at first, like of course I was going to continue classes. That's something that's very important to me. I look forward to it every week. It always, because I always feel the improvement, even if it's like little baby steps. I'm always taking a step forward in some sense whenever I take a class. So it's absolutely, I'm so grateful that I got to continue taking classes. It was difficult though at first over Zoom, just because you weren't there in person, and there's that. It's hard to create that feeling of connection through technology. But I feel like I did benefit because now my self tapes have improved so much because you have to learn how to make that connection through the camera since you can't be physically in the room with someone. So it had its pros for sure. But I think I really had a chance to just focus on acting and focus on the art and developing that craft and really just focusing on myself as well.
That's so, so wonderful. So, what do you think you learned most from carrying the lead role in a big project?
For starters, just being on a set that big was so humbling and inspiring. I remember the moment I first saw this, like the camera on the crane, and I was like, whoa, there's a camera on a crane in front of me. And I remember the moment at first, like it was one of my close-ups, like the first day we were shooting, and I turned and I could feel it there. And I just had this moment. I looked around and I was like, "This is happening. Like I'm here right now. This is real life." I quickly learned how much work it is. It was also really intense because our script changed a whole lot throughout the entire shoot. So sometimes we'd be getting sides the night before that were different than what we'd been rehearsing. And I very quickly learned how to be on my feet, um, really going with the flow. Also, just seeing how many moving parts there are on a production that size. It was constantly in motion. There was always so much going on. As myself, I feel like I had the opportunity to. I've never been so connected to a character. I had the opportunity to really bring the character to life in a way that I feel like I never had before. And I really gave my blood, sweat, and tears to this project, which I'm so happy that I can sit here and say that I did. And I met really incredible people. To be in the presence of some of these really big producers and directors, everyone really, at first it was kind of intimidating. I I knew that I belonged there. I knew that I was meant to be there. But to be standing in front of them and be like, wow, okay, I'm doing this. They're all passionate and they're all there because this is also their dream and they're exactly where they want to be. And to be in such a positive environment like that, I feel so fortunate that my first big experience was such a positive one. Also the teamwork aspect, because everyone was there for me and everyone always had my best interest in mind. And I knew that if I ever really needed something or if I needed to, like, I had a whole team of people that were all there because they wanted to see me succeed. They wanted all of us to succeed. And because our success in every single individual success is the success of the project. There's no small part on a production.
I think that's true in life too. It's true in everything we do that life isn't really in my opinion, it's not a competition. It's a collaboration. And if you do well, I do well, because we can lift each other up. And everyone around us should be an inspiration, or should lift us or elevate us on some level. Anyone that doesn't elevate us or brings us down, we have to rethink that. We have to rethink, okay, how can I, or who can I, or who in my life should I surround myself with so that I feel lifted?
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. I agree. I feel like the people we surround ourselves with are, we kind of take on their energy, and that's what we give out to the world. So I think I totally agree. I always try to surround myself with good, positive people that I feel like will continue to push me forward and not hold me back in any sense.
So, what surprised you on set as an actor? What were some of the surprises that you, in a way, thought, you know what, other actors, it would be helpful if they understood or knew this?
I feel like there were so many surprises. The chaos, there was some chaos there. And I feel like it's very important to be able to center yourself. So no matter what's going on around you, whatever craziness is happening, or any other department, or part of the whole part of machinery, and the big machine of the set, whatever's going on with other people, you need to focus on yourself. And I feel like I definitely had to find those moments where I was like, okay, I'm going to breathe. I'm just going to focus on what my task is and not let any other stressors come in and affect my performance. And that was definitely very valuable to me. And then I think another just big surprise was just being, it was so big. There were so many things. All of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, I have a room and a trailer. And um, not letting the incredibleness and just the sheer size of things also distract you from the performance or the task at hand. Because, and I'm very grateful that you talked to me about this before I went, about like self-sabotage. Sometimes the euphoria of being there in a moment, it can almost be a sabotage. It can kind of ruin the performance and like ruin what you're doing. So I took it all in. I tried to take in every moment that I had. I didn't let any of my excitement overpower the fact that I was there to do my job. I was there to play a part. I was there to help bring the show to life.
It's so important that when you book, when you get a call back, that the glee and the joy, it sometimes feels like, oh, I've made it. And then you forget that, no, making it is actually something inside that you made it already in your life. You walk in and you feel your own strength and beauty and value, and then the work begins. And so that euphoria has to be set aside so that you can focus, and that's great. And I love your surprises, and that's so true about chaos on set, because it's crazy sometimes. What was your favorite part?
I don't think I could pick a favorite part. It was all just so beautiful. Um, no, my favorite part, one of my favorite moments, I'd have to say, was our first day of shooting, which was the set design for this itself was just incredible. I was amazed. But we were all standing in there. And the cool thing too is that it was also a very special experience in the fact that all of like the lead cast, this was all of our first big project. So this is all very new to us, and none of us had had any of this before, like trailers or anything really. So we're all standing there together and just looking around at our surroundings and looking at one another. And my eyes were starting to tear up, and I could see other people's eyes tearing up. And we were all just like, are we here right now? Is this really happening? It was such a bonding experience that I got to share with them. And I can truly say that I feel like the friends that I made and all the people that I was with the whole duration of the shoot, they feel like a family to me now. And I've never had from a set before really where I felt like I had a life-changing experience with other people.
That's fantastic and amazing, and that's what it's about. That's so beautiful. So what tools, and we have lists of tools, which ones did you love to work the most or use the most on set?
I definitely focused on connecting with the character, like owning the character. I focused so much on that, even from the callback that I had. I remember I went through when I did all of the 8 inquiries and the 5 ownerships. That was so valuable to me, connecting with that. I also went through and I worked my relationships with each character in the project, in the show, and that was also so valuable. I had it all drawn out, and I knew exactly where I stood with each person. And then I'd also say listening. Listening was beyond valuable to me because there was a part of it that is improv. So I had to be on my feet and I didn't know what was coming next. So I always had to be present in the moment and be constantly listening and have that at my disposal so I could be prepared or as prepared as I possibly could be for the unknown.
That's amazing here. By the way, my second edition of the book, Acting with Impact, I am expanding on the ownerships, but I'm glad but they're so important. I mean, the ones that you worked on and used are so empowering and so important. And those of you who have the book, Acting with Impact, just know that the inquiries and the ownerships are not like a formula of just answering a question like a check it off. It's not like that. It's like really take your time with these. You can spend a lot of time on one inquiry or one ownership for days and days trying to find it, explore with and work with it. And don't feel like you have to rush to any answers, because the exploration and discovery is part of owning a character and stepping into it. So that's so awesome, Emily, that you used it.
Another tool that I worked fire. I worked the fire tool.
Oh, okay.
I had a scene where it was, I would say it was the most emotional scene because I was watching someone that I loved very much. I was watching them basically die, like right in front of me. And we just, it was one of those situations too where we kept shooting it. So I had to keep kind of like keeping that.
So you're soon going to be shooting another project.
Yes.
What tools are you using with this project?
Again, for me, it's really owning the character and using those inquiries and those ownerships. I actually just got the script for it. I'm very thrilled. We started to read that and go through and work it. We have a table read coming up. So for me, I feel like that's where I always start now, is by really discovering who I am as the character before I try to connect to anyone else, because so much of the choices and so much of the story just builds off of that. And I feel like that's what really brings it to life and allows me to bring the character to life, is having that deep understanding and connection with the character. And also, we've been working chemistry a lot in class, and I feel like that has really helped me, because with this project, I did have a chemistry read for it. And I could feel myself have so much more confidence in that chemistry read after. I feel like really like looking into someone's eyes. There's so much value in that, because the eyes are really the windows to the soul. I fully believe that. There's definitely some scenes in this upcoming project I'm doing that are pretty intense.
Awesome. Okay, so now I have another question about just your personal life, like living, on your own. Is how do you deal with the loneliness or the sense of isolation? Because I feel like that's one of the battles that actors have when they first come to Los Angeles.
It was difficult. There was definitely that sense of isolation. It was very lonely. I moved here not really knowing anyone. And I'm very fortunate that I had my manager and I had a job lined up for me down here, a day job, survival job. But I remember that first night that my parents left, and it hit me that, oh man, this isn't a vacation. I'm now in this apartment. I live here now, and mom and dad are gone. And I'm really close with my parents. I still text them every day, which was really nice. But it was it hit hard. And there's definitely times too when I get homesick, or I do feel like I'm kind of isolated. But I think for me, I manage that by staying busy, and I'm always I'm always doing something. It's very rare for me to have a day when I have nothing to do. They're very few and far between, so I try to not take them for granted. But I enjoy being busy, and by doing something every day that works the art or is some positive step, if it's doing a tape or doing anything really, as long as I feel like I'm working and constantly growing, I'm happy. And I feel like there is something kind of beautiful about being able to move here and not know anybody. I enjoy the feeling of being this little girl in this big world and going up Mulholland Drive and looking over the city, and it kind of builds a fire in me where it's like I'm here and I'm gonna succeed, and this is my dream. I genuinely feel like I'm living my dream because I get to live in LA and I get to act and pursue my passion. And I don't know what the future holds. People have been asking me recently. It's funny. I feel like a lot of people have asked me, where do you see yourself in 10 years or 5 years? And I don't even know where I see myself a month from now, let alone a year from now or five. But to me, the unpredictability is exciting. And I like that because you never know where you're going to be or where life is going to take you. And there's something so magical about that. So I don't take a moment for granted. I always try to live in the moment. And even when I feel lonely, I try to use that and turn it into a positive.
That's fantastic. I don't think you have to know completely. Everyone says, where do you see yourself in 5, 10? You know, you don't have to know. You just have to live truth. You know, I think there's a lot of expectations put on everyone, including we all put them on ourselves. But we can lighten up and just go with the opportunities and have a concept, an idea of who you want to be. How do you want to live? Who do you want to be in the world? And what do you want to put out in the world? And what kind of projects you want to create? And that alone will create a trajectory of opportunities for you. So that hopefully the highest and the best and the miracles that you never dreamed of could happen.
I love that. Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to say right now at this point in your progression, Emily?
My gosh. Just the magic of it. I would like to go on record saying that I'm incredibly proud of myself because it's been a lot of hard work and it hasn't been easy. But I feel like I can honestly say I've taken every opportunity that's come my way, and I'm I keep saying I'm incredibly fortunate, but I am truly incredibly fortunate that I've had so many mentors and so many people in my life that have helped me to get to the point where I'm sitting here right now talking to you and being able to say all of this. But
Emily, I want to interject something to you. How do you do that? Because you actually attract mentors and people that believe in you. So there's something about you that is so like magical and heart opening, that is optimistic, that allows, just there's something about you that also people can have a takeaway to grasp onto the attitude that you have about the work and about yourself and about the world.
I think it really is that I don't take anything for granted because, and I told it to my manager the first time I met him. I remember I was at a showcase and he was about to leave his table. He was the last person I came up to that day. And I walked up and I knew it was my last chance. And I was like, why not? So I handed him my headshot and resume. And he looked at me and he asked me, how bad do you want this? And I told him, more than anything. And to this day, I want this more than anything. And it's also just the fact that it is my absolute passion. And I feel like this is what I am meant to be doing. I give everything my all. I always give my all, and I put my heart and my soul into everything that I do. And I think that that is a big reason why I am where I am, and that I've attracted these people, like these mentors, into my life, because every mentor that I have, they're very similar in that way. They also give their all. They give their heart and their soul to what they do. And I feel like that is the connection I build with people. It's kind of like this unspoken like connection, this bond of loving the art and having that passion and always wanting to give your all. I have gotten so many things from training with you. Honestly, one of the biggest things I've gotten is inspiration. It is so inspiring to listen to you talk because you are so full of passion. And to watch the work that happens in the class, to watch everyone else, have breakthroughs and the amazing work that they put forward, to see their growth, it inspires growth. And to be able to sit there and have a breakthrough, it's like every single breakthrough that happens, it's like you kick down a door for another one. And I remember when you talked about how it's like climbing a mountain. You reach that peak and then you go back down to the valley, but that means that you're growing and you hit that peak, and now it's just time to climb up the next one. And I think that's such a beautiful way to see it, because I don't think people are ever done growing, and I never want to hit a point where I don't think I ever will hit a point where I think I'm done growing, because there's always more. There's always another thing you could improve upon or learn. And I think that your class has inspired me to always want to grow and learn, always want to better myself and reach that next peak.
That's so beautiful. I'm so thrilled. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please like, please subscribe, please comment, and please do check out my book, Acting with Impact.